Captain America is one of the greatest fighters in all of Marvel Comics, a super soldier and pinnacle of human potential, all while mastering pretty much every single combat style known to man. So today, well, here's the challenge. Steve is constantly compared to Batman, but what about Batman's proteges? How would Captain America do against the Robins? And more importantly, could Cap beat all four Robins at the same time? Let's get into it. Born in the 1920s, Steve Rogers always felt a strong duty towards his country, the desire to help defend those who couldn't help themselves. However, Steve was just a scrawny, weak kid and wasn't even allowed to enlist in the army for World War II. However, because of his strong desire to serve, well, he was selected for the Super Soldier Project, being transformed into the pinnacle of human potential. Now known as Captain America, well, he led the charge against the Nazis and Hydra before being left frozen in the Arctic at the end of the war. However, Captain America was eventually revived in the modern day. Now he's the leader of the Avengers as they fight for truth, justice, and freedom. Being a super soldier, well, Captain America is obviously superhuman. There's been a little debate on just how strong Steve really is, whether he's superhuman or just the pinnacle of human potential, but regardless, he can bench press several tons as just a warm-up. He can easily tear through metal, he can throw around cars, and he's actually routinely holding up several tons of rubble, or just simply picking up heavy things. And all that strength is definitely evident when Steve throws a punch, or when he starts throwing his shield around. He's been able to hurt Spider-Man with his punches. He straight up knocked out bulletproof humans with a punch. He's even been able to damage Iron Man and tear apart his armor with his fist. And again, when Steve starts throwing around his shield, well, he's been able to destroy vehicles, bring down helicopters, destroy robots, or dismantle tanks. Captain America is ridiculously strong. Captain America is also ridiculously superhumanly tough. He's been smashed through walls and had buildings dropped on him, been just fine. He's taken punches from Namor and Spider-Man and Iron Man and even the Hulk and survived. He's been caught up in massive explosions, even at point-blank range, and not a scratch on him. Really just been more pissed off than anything else. The times when he's been shot or stabbed, well, sometimes Cap doesn't even notice until it's pointed out to him later. And with his shield, well, Cap is basically able to take planet-level attacks like it's nothing. Thor, Hulk, Hercules, Thanos, Ultron, all of them have tried to damage the shield and none of them have succeeded. It can block everything that comes its way. It's literally indestructible. It can even survive attacks from universal gods like Celestials. My man is tougher than tough. He's also faster than fast. Everything about him is superhuman, including his perception, which means that he's not just dodging bullets because of years of training and reflexes, but he's actually able to see the bullet coming his way and then simply move. He's that fast. He's one of the fastest street-level heroes out there, routinely matching the speed of Daredevil, Iron Fist, or even Spider-Man. He's even able to get a shield to block bullets after they've been fired, block electricity, or even block light-based attacks. Basically, between Captain America's speed and his skill with that shield, well, it's dang near impossible for him to get hit, and you can be sure he's going to get his hits in. And it's not just enough that Captain America is the ultimate super soldier, the pinnacle of human potential, he's also one of the world's best fighters, a top 10 fighter in the Marvel Universe. He's got one of the best fighting minds on Earth, to the point where he can become an expert in any weapon within seconds and master a fighting form after just a few minutes. And so Cap has done just that. He's mastered every single martial arts known to man and didn't stop there. but started mastering different alien fighting styles throughout the universe. He's a one-man army in a fight, able to take down whole teams of supervillains all by himself, and has consistently matched up against some of the best fighters in Marvel, including Daredevil, Black Panther, Iron Fist, and Shang-Chi. Captain America is also the expert when it comes to his shield. He knows it better than he knows himself, and is the perfect weapon for a soldier like Rogers. Whenever he throws it, it will always come back to him, regardless of physics or science. And it's the ultimate combination of offense and defense in any fight. So, can Captain America do it? Can he beat all four Robins, specifically talking Dick, Jason, Tim, and Damian? Well, Dick Grayson is both the adopted son of Bruce Wayne and the original Robin to Batman. However, once Dick kinda got old enough, he set out on his own, becoming Nightwing. After being put through some pretty intense training by Batman, Dick became a master martial artist, capable of going toe-to-toe with some of the best fighters in the world and beating them. Batman has even said in the past that Nightwing is the toughest and best fighter out of all of the Robins, and Dick has proven this by beating both Deathstroke and even Batman himself in the past. Jason Todd is Red Hood, one of the only members of the Bat family that is totally fine with killing and using lethal attacks. He's also easily one of the best martial artists on the planet, having been trained under some of the best fighters, including Batman, Bronze Tiger, and Lady Shiva. Even Damian, who is not too fond of Red Hood, still has to admit he's one of the greatest fighters who's ever lived. Red Hood is skilled enough to beat Deathstroke and Ra's al Ghul in a fight. He's even admitted that each time that he's fought against Batman, it's him who's the one holding back due to their relationship. Tim Drake as Red Robin is known as a brilliant fighter and trained in hand-to-hand combat under Batman himself. However, he's probably the least skilled out of the four main Robins. A future version of Tim even realized that he would never be on the same level as Bruce or Dick or even Jason or Damian. On the other hand though, well, Robin is maybe one of the best fighters out of the bunch. The son of Batman and Talia al Ghul, raised in the Bat family and the League of Assassins. In fact, Damian himself has said in the past that he knows just as many martial arts as Batman, and he can use them all more effectively. Now, this is likely an overstatement on Robin's part. Damian isn't quite that good, but he's still ridiculously skilled. However, I think I'm gonna say that Captain America could beat any one of them individually in a one-on-one fight. Nightwing would be the only one that would really even press Steve, because Cap is genuinely just that good. There's a reason why he's consistently been compared to Batman in pretty much every Marvel DC crossover. They've fought for a whole day straight, and Bruce said that Steve probably should have won. So yeah, he's that guy. Like, I don't think anyone is going to argue that Tim Drake is going to do anything to Steve. Damian honestly could be a match for Cap when it comes to pure skill and fighting ability, but being a super soldier gives him a pretty serious edge that I don't think Robin could ever overcome. And then Red Hood does give Captain America some trouble, but the way I see it, Red Hood is just another version of Winter Soldier, and Captain America obviously has plenty of experience fighting that. So it's like I said, I think the only person who could actually press Captain America in a one-on-one fight here is Dick Grayson. Problem for Cap is Nightwing could actually seriously beat Captain America, and he could do it all by himself. Now, I'm not saying that Dick could beat Steve every single time they fight. or that he would win even the majority of the times. But if Nightwing can beat Deathstroke and Batman in fair fights, well, then it's not really a stretch to say that he can do the same thing with Captain America. Like seriously, Nightwing is just that guy. And I think you can make an argument that he's right up there with Batman, who himself is right up there with Captain America. There's reached a point for Nightwing here where you can argue that the student has surpassed the master, and he's the more skilled fighter out of the two. I'm not even kidding, you really can manage this argument. Like, Nightwing was able to fight and beat Raptor, and honestly do it pretty easily, while it was said that while Raptor would eventually lose, it would take everything Batman had in him for him to win. Batgirl has said before that Dick is Bruce's direct equal. That's even more backed up by the fact that Ubu, Ra's al Ghul's personal assistant, said that Nightwing's skill rivals Batman's. Nightwing even managed to defeat Ra's in a sword fight, which is really impressive because Ra's has been stated to be Batman's rival, with Tim Drake saying this is a man who can fight Bruce Wayne to a standstill. Then in Nightwing issue 30 from the New 52, well, Dick and Bruce had an all-out fight in the Batcave, a fight where Nightwing ultimately won. And we know this is true, that they were both going all out because Tom King said they were, the writer of the story. Now, this was an extremely close fight. They were going back and forth and each landed their blows, so it's not like Nightwing dominated by any means, but he did ultimately win. You can even try and argue that Nightwing has gotten better even since then, seeing as how he managed to beat up an amped version of Deathstroke who had just gotten out of the Lazarus Pit, all while Nightwing was injured and exhausted. And there's no question that Deathstroke is a menace, a super soldier, and a fighter on par with Batman himself. And all of this isn't like out of nowhere or anything like that. It's actually true and consistent to both characters. Batman took in every member of the Bat family, Nightwing especially, and trained them to be better versions of the Dark Knight. And in some ways, Nightwing already is a better hero than Batman. Like, for starters, other heroes and even villains just like him more and actually trust him. You can't really, truly trust Batman. It's also why Nightwing was meant to be a better leader for the heroes of Earth than Batman ever could. Dick will surpass Bruce in different ways, if he hasn't already done so. And you can really argue that this also includes their fighting skill and martial arts ability. And the kicker in all of this is that, again, at the end of the day, it's not Captain America running a gauntlet of one-on-one fights, but we're asking him to win a 1-on-4. And I think that's just really unrealistic to say that Captain America can win that type of fight. Because the main thing that Captain America has over the Robins is his physicality. The man is a super soldier, so he's stronger, faster, and tougher than all of them. But that's about it, because you can't argue that Captain America is an unrivaled fighter compared to the Robins, so it's really just his physicality. But how are Steve's greater stats gonna compare against all four fighters at once, especially against these four guys who have basically perfect chemistry? And not just that, but four fighters who have a massive arsenal of everything ranging from explosives to tear gas to electric attacks to grappling hooks to flashbangs to more. Well, I just don't think it's going to be possible for Captain America to overcome all of it. Nightwing is nearly an equal to Batman himself. Red Hood isn't too far behind, and even Damian and Tim are some of the best fighters on Earth. All four of them working in tandem together against Cap is just too much for the super soldier to overcome. So yeah, no, Captain America isn't beating all the Robins. Not even close.